is to blame for Prince Charles's defiance in marrying Princess Diana, despite their lack of love for one another. Good morning, and thank you very much for stopping by the Today channel of the Sussex Daily News. When the subject of Diana is brought up, far too many people immediately put on rose-coloured glasses and are all too eager to cast Charles in a negative light. Diana affirmed in her own words that the two of them were able to coexist more peacefully after the divorce. Even though he loved her, he did not have romantic feelings for her. In Paris, he gave the impression of being completely broken. People enjoy demonizing this man, despite the fact that he couldn't have been more transparent about the fact that he liked Diana. He did not, however, love her in a romantic way. Despite the fact that the phrase, "whatever love means," should have served as a significant hint for her, she chose to disregard it. Diana made Charles laugh, and he developed a soft spot for her as a result. However, he and she did not share the kind of chemistry that leads people to fall in love with one another. There was a significant gap between them intellectually, partly attributable to age and partly attributable to their personal interests. In the early years of their marriage, I have no doubt that he made a sincere effort to love her as a wife and to help the marriage succeed. But Diana had her own problems. She was dramatic and prone to jealousy, and Charles, in his stoicism, had no idea how to deal with a woman who was overly emotional. Her temper tantrums drove him away rather than bringing him closer to her. In the end, he gave up trying to comprehend what she was trying to say. But despite the fact that he was not in love with her, he had love for her. Many people who have gone through a divorce still feel at least a little bit of love for their former partners. And this is especially true when the former partner is the parent of their child or children. I do not think that Prince Charles ever said anything negative about the mother that Diana was to their children, and I believe that he was always very appreciative of the devotion that Diana showed to their family. Even though Charles did not have romantic feelings for Diana, there were many occasions when he demonstrated his love for her and took pleasure in being in her company. After their divorce, they were able to have a healthy relationship. He did not need to have gone through the trouble of getting Diana's body, but he did. He wore a suit to the funeral, and it was a very dark blue suit that she had a special place in her heart for. He was obviously upset about the situation, and not just for the boys. When he learnt of her passing, it caused him a great deal of anguish. Some people believe he did it out of guilt. Others believe, however, that he was only worried about how poorly it would reflect on him. Both of these things could be true to some extent. But I believe the primary source of Charles's anguish was the thought of how it would affect his two sons. They were so young, and even if someone despises their ex-spouse, and there is no indication that Charles ever hated Diana, Based on what I have seen, the passing of that ex-spouse will cause deep sorrow and worry on behalf of the shared offspring. This is true even if that person despises their ex-spouse, and there is no indication that Charles ever hated Diana, as we know. Nobody wants to think about the possibility of their child growing up without either of their parents. No, not even if they despise the individual. I believe that he was also flattered by the fact that Diana was interested in him. Diana had set her sights on becoming Princess of Wales without considering all of the responsibilities that were attached to the position, including, of course, the fact that she would have to share her life with the man. I believe that this made him feel flattered. I can speak from personal experience when I say that it is common for a former married couple to get along better after they have divorced or separated than they did in the later stages of a failing marriage. This is especially true when there are children involved. At the time that the news of the accident broke, it was obvious to me that Charles was genuinely grieving for the loss his sons suffered at such an impressionable age, not just for self-interest. He knew full well at that point that the finger of blame would be unreasonably pointed at him. And I don't know how the British royal family managed to keep their composure while having to listen to Charles Spencer's preaching, hypocritical eulogy. Because the mother of his children had been killed so suddenly at a stage in her life when she was sorting things out, perhaps not on a personal level, but most definitely as a still involved member of the royal family in her public appearances and involvements. And despite the fact that she herself stated at one point that Charles had undeniably loved her, there will always be a portion of the population that insists that he never loved her. This is the case even though she herself stated that he had undeniably loved her. This is the most unfortunate thing that could have happened. It is impossible to overstate how genuine Charles's expression of thoughtful concern was as he checked on the reactions of his boys while the service was in progress. At this moment, he was not thinking about himself. Rather, the sole thing that is causing the furrow in his brow is the suffering of his sons. That, in my opinion, is evidence of the sincerity of his feelings towards Diana. He was aware of how significant the loss was to her children. He was well aware of her value. The moments were extremely moving for me, and my heart hurt for all three of them. I've heard from a lot of people that Charles raised his boys with a lot of love and care, and as the years have gone by, I've really come to admire Charles. In terms of serving his country, he is the real deal. He has done and continues to do much for the underprivileged, the environment, and climate change, to name just a few of his interests. If he were my father, I would be very proud of the man he has become. I also believe that it took a lot of bravery on Charles's part to go and bring Diana's body back home. If there is one thing I believe that both of these boys were greatly appreciative of this fact. It was a very meaningful gesture to make. I felt a lump in my throat for all the right reasons. A father grieving alongside his sons. In addition, I believe that it is unfair that everyone has been so strongly opposed to Prince Charles. Take a look at how the worry on Prince Charles's face contrasts with the anger on the face of the Earl of Spencer. During the wake and funeral, it would have been nice if their uncle had shown even a fraction of the concern that their father did for the boy's emotions. You know, I've actually given that some thought myself. To show such contempt for half their bloodkin, the eulogy was laced with so much venom against the family that he knew damn well would be the future of his two nephews. It was a very selfish act that wasn't given much thought before it was carried out. It is the equivalent of one divorced parent bad-mouthing the other in front of the other parent's shared child. Inappropriate and insulting to the children, who are the physical embodiments of their parents and carry their blood through their veins. In front of those boys, I believe that Diana would have advised him to swallow his rage and just act normally. It would have been preferable for him to have his say in private at a different point in time. Even the Earl of Spencer suffered traumatic experiences as a child. Some of that came out during his speech at the funeral. After all, he shared some of the responsibility for Diana's passing. She had the desire to live with her family again. However, the Earl Spencer had responded by declining her request. He didn't want any kind of media attention. Take a look at him right now. There is a fee involved in getting to look at where Diana has been laid to rest. He ought to be embarrassed about it. And when Diana told her sister that she wanted to bail out on the wedding, Diana's sister had told her that it was too late because Diana's face had already been printed on the kitchen towels. Despite everything that happened, 2 beautiful boys in good health had been born, and Diana had an undying love for them. I have no doubt that Charles had attempted to make things work out with Diana. Alas, their personalities were incompatible with one another. He was unfairly slandered by the press, most likely because they could make more money on stories about poor Diana. She was not perfect, and she bears just as much responsibility for their separation as he does. She went into it with the knowledge that things were not in order, but she did it anyway. It is abundantly clear that Charles adores his sons and that he has thrived in the years following Diana's passing. I will pray for him and eagerly anticipate the day when he will become king. And you? Are you on the same page as us? I would appreciate it if you would share your thoughts with me in the comment section below, and we can also discuss them. If you think my video is particularly helpful, don't forget to give it a like and distribute it to as many people as you can. In addition, do not be afraid to sign up for the Sussex Daily News Today channel so that you can watch additional videos uploaded by our staff in the near future. Now, I would like to say goodbye and thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow.